Hey, 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 everybody. There we go. Won't you come on in the house? It's gonna rain.
Hi.
How to do? So, we are back. You hear me good? You see me?
Yes, I can hear you well and I can see you well.
Fantastic. We don't have the magical black screen blocking anything tonight, so that is a Christmas miracle, or a summer miracle, or spring. Hold up, because I don't even know if the weather knows what season it is right now. If it wants to
Not in-
still be winter, if it still wants to be spring, it's just all over the place now.
right.
Okay. So, for those coming in, welcome to another week of Let's Talk About It, where we try to have healthy and hopefully educational and entertaining dialogue about dating and where we are, talking from personal experiences and not generalizations. Can I speak today? Yeah, there we go. And this is try to see from different angles how different things are. So tonight, I am joined by my guest, Miss Sandra. Welcome everybody to Miss Sandra, Way to the People. Okay, so Miss Sandra, Miss, how old are you and where are you located?
I am 36
Okay.
and I live in San Antonio, Texas.
San Antonio, Texas. Okay, so what, 4 hours away from me? Because I'm up in Fort Worth. So isn't that something? Okay. So yeah, so you really know about the heat then, and how the Texas summers just they don't
Yeah,
they don't know how to end. That's the crazy part.
exactly. I think it was like 40 something degrees this
Mhm.
morning. But yeah, we don't know what the weather is here.
We really don't either. So I think I put the heat on just to get knock the chill out in the morning, and then afterwards I was like, no, okay, let's turn this off because we don't want the light bill to be over $200 because we don't. Yeah, yeah, yeah. TXU and all the other services they will try to add everything on as much as possible. So I don't want to give any extra money if I don't have to.
And then if I'm cold in my house, I always have a blanket.
See, and I really can't say anything because I have a blanket freeze. So, hey, you gotta stay ready. You gotta stay ready. So, at least we stay prepared. I had a heating blanket, and I don't know where it is. No, I think it went out or the fuse. Something went out with, so I have to get another one. Yeah,
I
but
invest in a heating blanket. I don't have one of those or a space heater.
see, I would think that would raise the light bill up a little too much if you get a space heater.
Probably, but I think it's better than running
The
your
whole
heat.
True, true. Just like running a fan as opposed to having your AC on for the whole thing. Too. So
Right.
I guess I'm with you. I'm with you. All right. So we got baseline sports, who you are and where you are. Next we're going to get into the core questions that we ask every guest. Again, for those who don't know, this is all based on our own personal things. You don't have to agree with us, but this is just to see how different people are, how everyone thinks. So, number one, and I don't know why my screen moved on me, so but we'll get to it. And I see the excitement and anxiousness on your face. We're ready for it. Okay.
There you go.
So, yes. So, are you single?
I am.
You are. Is there anyone that does not believe that you're single?
No.
You sure about that? Nobody's claiming you in their minds or anything like that.
No one can claim me.
Okay, just all right. Do you want to be in a serious long-term monogamous relationship?
I do.
You do. Okay. What is your spiritual life like specifically? Just to weed through and try to be and narrow things down. Who is Jesus to you?
So my spiritual life, we are rooted and grounded in Christ. First and foremost, Jesus to me is my companion, my redeemer. So yes,
Yeah,
we're,
guys.
we're
So you do Jesus is your homie. Y'all be kicking it all the time. All right. Are you a parent?
not yet.
See, look at you put yet on that. She said it's gonna happen, it's just not today. Okay. Do you have a number that you would actually how many kids you would want?
You know, when I was in my 20s, I wanted a big family.
Right.
So I would do like kids. But,
Mm.
you know, as I got older, I always felt everything worked better in pairs. So I'm like, two. But at this point, I would be more than happy with one child.
Okay. But if two happened, you wouldn't be against it.
Yes, two is good.
Okay. Two is good, but like, hey, you was like, at least we get one. We're okay, and we're gonna come back to it. Let me make a note on that. Okay. And then, have you healed from past relationships and or any childhood trauma?
You know, honestly, I have not experienced a lot of dating trauma, so I'm glad that I can say that. I've experienced some disappointments when things haven't worked out. But as far as healing from trauma from past relationships, I don't really have any traumatic experiences. Um, and as far as childhood trauma, once again, praise the Lord, I haven't really had traumatic childhood trauma. There's been some things, obviously,
Right.
um, nothing so traumatic that, you know, it took me years or what have you to have to heal from. But to answer your question, for those things that have occurred in my life, dating and childhood, yes, I have.
Okay. And we always say that because, like you said, there's always something in some kind of element, and I don't think sometimes we don't even realize the roots of why we are or why we think about certain things until like we do get into our 30s or we start seeing different patterns of why do I keep doing this? Why do I keep thinking this? And hey, some of this is there's a recurrent element and it's me. Okay, let me do some introspection on this particular case right now. A lot of people don't do it.
Yes, and I agree with you 100% on that. As you get older, you're like, well, why do I think like that, or why do I respond
Mhm.
that way? I'm asked a certain question. Why is that like touchy for me? So yeah,
See, and this is why we want to make sure people deal with their past and deal with where you are so you can have a healthy future and healthy present also. Okay. Do you have a legal form of income?
I do
You do, so you're not selling drugs or nothing like that.
know. I was a drug dealer to begin
Okay.
with.
You said you have dated a drug
No,
dealer?
I said I wouldn't be a very good drug dealer.
Why not?
Number one, I'm scary. So I'm scary, and then two, I wouldn't know how to be slick with it. You
No.
know, I'll be afraid. Somebody's always watching. You know.
Right. So all you got to do is you just got to go up to them. Not that I know some personal, experience, but you just got to go up. So I heard you just be like, "Hey, would you like two cracks?" And then they can say yes or no.
Absolutely
And
not.
not okay, got you. Hey, would you like two meths? And then they can say yes or no. Whether they want two meths or 2 weeks. I think that's how you do it in my head. You know, not that I'm experienced with that, anything like that.
You know what you're talking about.
I don't know. And then down in San Antonio, y'all may be used to smuggling or scamming or something like that. So I don't know how things are done in San Antonio.
I mean, we are pretty close to the border, so
So you coyote on the side to get people inside, get people inside the country. Okay. Do you have a driver's license?
yes,
Okay, which is necessary definitely in San Antonio. Do you have your own motor or electric transportation?
yes,
You do? Okay. Do you have your own residence? You do? Okay. Does anyone else live in this residence?
not yet.
Now, see, look at you. See? Okay, is this a house, apartment, or?
This is a home.
Okay, and so so you think how things are right now, you get married, somebody else will be actually willing to move into this home?
If they wanted to, I
Mm-hmm.
would, consider going elsewhere,
Okay.
if elsewhere, but they're welcomed here.
Gotcha. Okay, see, you putting yes on it. That's having an optimistic perception. I like it. That's cool. I like it.
Yeah,
Um, Okay. So I'll also ask, do you currently have any warrants or have you ever done anything that will warrant a warrant or incarceration?
My goodness, no.
Hey, we have to ask these questions. We can't assume, like, hey, just because you love Jesus now, we don't know what you were doing 7 years ago, you know?
What? True, but no, no warrants, nothing, like no criminal background whatsoever.
Gotcha. I mean, hey, we know plenty of people in church who getting caught up in stuff too. So just, gotta ask that question just to
Oh,
make sure. Not in a judgment way. It's like, hey, you made it 2 years. Okay, now you out and you got, you on the up and up right now. So
it's a redeemer.
yeah, there you go. Right there. See, they've done their time. Let them live. Okay? Um, and if you ever needed to take out a loan to get a new car or appliance or anything, would the finance agent come back with great news or would they say, here's what we can do?
Great news.
Great news. Okay, so you're good on that particular angle.
Yes.
Fantastic. Okay, so we got a good baseline of who you are, what you're expecting, and what we're doing in life. I'm going to transition um, to literally my favorite game that we play on the show. All right, so boom. So how it's going to go? I'm going to ask you a question about a specific dating experience, and you're just going to tell us about that, but you have to start the story out with, all right, so boom, because that's how the best stories always go. So people tend to like this question the most. So we start off with it. Can you tell us about the most frustrating date that you've ever had? The one that while you were in it, you were like, hey, there will not be a date number two, and I'm ready for this to end.
Yes. So boom. I'm from Florida and I used to live in Orlando and I went on a date with this guy and uh, I specifically recall it being breezy because I like did my hair and it was like curled and my curls were tossed
Yeah.
and hang on to that detail. Okay. So the date, we went to a Japanese restaurant and it was good. He showed up late,
Mm,
so it was like, you gotta.
right.
Um, so he finally shows up. We get to the table. We're sitting. We're ordering drinks, appetizers, waiting to browse the menu, and I'm noticing that he starts sweating profusely. And man, like he's nervous, and I felt bad for him. And so I'm like, are you okay? Like, do you want to step outside? Like you're sweating. And like I didn't want to sit there and be awkward with him and not notice that he's, sweating profusely. So he kept putting like his elbows very like hard, like on the table, like boom, sweating. And he kind of had like a muscle tee on that night and he started to sweat through the shirt. So I'm like, is this guy nervous or is he
Mhm.
a medical issue, um, so he proceeds to say, I am gonna step outside for a moment, because it was breezy and so I'm gonna step out. So he steps out. It was probably like 10 minutes. So I'm sitting at the dinner table. That 10 minutes is a really long time,
Yes.
when you're dining with someone. So that was kind of like strike number two, if we're talking about in the essence of the date, right? So I was
Mhm.
at the dinner table for 10 minutes. So he comes back in. His shirt's still a little wet from his, and
Mhm.
I'm like, are you okay? Do we need to get the appetizers to go? Do you want to reschedule? Like, are you okay? He's like, I'm fine. And so we proceed with the date. The conversation was actually very, very good. It flowed. It was natural.
Mhm.
Reaching for anything to talk about. So I was like, okay, well, this is good. At least he can, hold a conversation.
Right.
But he starts sweating again and putting his elbows on the table. So the day ends, what have you. He walks me to my car and I'm like, I hope you're okay. He's like, yeah, I'm good. I'm good. And so we did reach out to each other when we got home. Now the next morning he texted me and he said, hey, I was embarrassed to tell you, but last night when I was like sweating and kept putting my arms on the table, I realized that I was having an allergic reaction from nearing my armpits. And I was like, what? I tried Nair for the first time and I neared my armpits and I had an allergic reaction to the product. So that's why I was sweating and I kept putting my arms on the table because I was trying to get some breeze in my armpits. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Feel better. Be like, that was so dumb. Why'd you do that or what have you? I just, and tried it. And I was like, well, it's okay. You could have told me that. You didn't have to feel embarrassed by it. But I was definitely wondering if something was wrong with you.
Right.
That was, I was like, I want this date to end. I didn't, but like I said, the conversation was great, but his during the date, I was like, I don't like this. I don't like this at all. So I have a rule of thumb, and I did share this with him. Whenever you are, getting ready to, go out with someone, I don't try anything new. Okay.
Exactly.
I'm on a pair of, if I decide to dress up with my person, I'm not breaking in a new pair of shoes,
Right.
a new hairstyle,
Right.
anything new to wear. Like, no new makeup look or nothing. Like, something's bound to happen. So I told him, I said, well, maybe you shouldn't have neared your armpits. Like, I wasn't going to see them. But yeah, so that's my story.
Okay. So we got the strike about the being late. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then I mean, because me in that situation, I probably would have made a joke about it. For one, I'm with you. I'm not trying to break a routine around the same. It's just like, around Thanksgiving or the holidays. You don't try new recipes during the holidays. You do that the other months of the year. So you have something that's tried and true when it's there. So for a date, especially first date,
Mm-hmm.
and on the underarm.
Yeah. And you know what's so crazy is that I haven't heard of anyone using Nair. And now, mind you, this date was like when I lived in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
I would say it was like 6 years ago.
Okay.
I used to nair my eyebrows, or one of my best friends used to nair my eyebrows when I was in high school.
Mm-hmm.
So I never heard of like anyone using Nair thereafter until he brought it up. I was like, Nair? And at first I thought that was just for women, but apparently men use it too. Yeah, a homeboy naired his armpits and it did not work out well for him. He had an allergic reaction to the product. And I felt bad for him.
And I was also thinking, because I don't know if you saw like episode one of the first, I think probably the second interview I had, second guest I had. I know he talked about how he was sweating on his date, and then that's when he really took stock in his now fiance, because she started blotting sweat on his head. She just noticed it, then asked her, just okay, I'm gonna help you out. She picked up some napkins like I had with my cloth, my preacher's cloth, and just went ahead and rolled with it. So even in that situation, I honestly, for me, but I'm also me, I probably would have made a joke about it too. Like, yeah, it's just.
Yeah.
This is just a bad situation. Yeah.
He was struggling. I felt bad for him. He said he was embarrassed to tell me, but I was like, I feel like I'm, approachable in the aspect that I wouldn't have like made fun of him for it or judged for it. But
Right. I mean, because
yeah.
life happens, and if anything, just turn it into a funny story. So, in that situation, since you said that the conversation actually was good, and I didn't necessarily hear a third strike. You already said the one about the about being late. Two, he left you alone for 10 minutes, which 1 minute. Well, anytime outside going to the restroom, 10 minutes definitely is a long time to be left alone on the date. So I definitely understand strike two. But I didn't hear strike three. So what is it that actually happened? Why do you think nothing progressed past that particular point? Or how did things go after that date?
If the conversation would have not been good at the dinner table, that would have been the strike three.
Right.
And so we actually did end up dating each other for a couple months after that. So it did lead to something. So yeah.
Okay. What happened for you to call it quits on it?
He cheated.
That would do it. That would do it. That would do it right there. Okay. Oh, yeah.
Crazy about that is my coworker actually saw him out with someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I knew. And when I, brought it up to address it, it's like he ghosted me. Like he didn't want to talk about it.
So
So
he ain't even fessed up, so he just disappeared.
no.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm sorry that you experienced that. And so you could have been super petty, like you old sensitive armpit bandit. You could have just really went into it.
But
You did.
I'm not a petty woman. You know, I take my dignity and go.
Mhm.
Like it, I don't beg, plead for anything for
Right.
anyone. So
Right.
yeah, but that
And I think, yeah, and that goes back into, just again, knowing even your self worth with it too, because if somebody is willing to do that, and especially not even have a conversation about, what was up, what went into it, yeah, that's just showing, okay, so you really weren't serious about me in the first. Well, you're no longer trying to actively keep this together anyway. You already mentally tapped out and went somewhere else. So if you're not even trying to have a conversation about it or get anything, then yeah, what is the first point of even mentally or physically staying in a particular situation anyway? So
yeah. And
yeah,
you asked in the beginning about like trauma from past relationships. I wouldn't necessarily say that that was a traumatic experience, but it was a huge disappointment.
yeah,
And it took me a little while to get over it because I would consider myself like a late bloomer. Like I didn't really date until I turned 24. Um,
I was
so,
27.
huh?
See, and I was 27 with mine. So I'm
So
with you.
having that experience, I'm like, is this what it's like? Like you put yourself out there for people to get to know you and you show up as your true authentic self. It's representative because there's only so long that you can keep up and act. And then to like open your heart to someone and then for them to pretty much cheat, but on top of that ghost and not like, want to have a conversation. Guys, that was a really huge disappointment, but I wouldn't say it was traumatic to the point where I was like, I'm so distressed,
Yeah.
about it. So yeah.
So you didn't get to the stage of playing the Mary J. Blige. Oh, I'm not gonna cry. You didn't get to that point. Okay. All right, you can do. I knocked the windows out your car. You didn't get to that point with him. Okay. Hey, just gotta say, some people will say you were married in that particular situation, but you just let it go.
Yeah.
All right, so I will ask you this then. Dealing with that disappointment, what did you do to really keep yourself up or pick yourself up from after that disappointment?
You know, I I took myself like out of the dating scene for a little bit because I was new to it to begin with. So I kind of took myself out of the dating scene and was just doing my own thing, working, and that's pretty much it. I wasn't looking to meet anyone after that, or date after that. So
Gotcha.
yeah.
Okay. So your what? Because I this is the conversation I even have with some friends. Because how we talk about how the dating pool has pee in it and just all kind of just raw sewage and all that kind of things. And we talk about how it is very easy to become jaded in the dating cycle, especially when you have the genuine intentions of really trying to have a genuine, real connection with someone. But there's so many people out there playing games and things, or just wasting time, or like we talked about earlier, just not even trying to go past a certain point. Everything is just still shallow and superficial. And
Yes.
so, even with me, I had those instances. Because again, like I said, was a late bloomer to dating also. And then this when I had to get back into the dating pool after my divorce, it was like, yo, hold up, do people do as much as we hear about women talking about they want something serious, why am I not bumping into these right now? What is really going on right now? And so I got to a point of being like, had to really fight being bitter and jaded and not having a completely negative outlook. online. So when you said that you had to take yourself out of it and bench yourself, I fully advocate people just, hey, if you really see yourself getting to a point of being jaded, or you just not, you don't have that positive outlook, sit down somewhere for a period of time and really just focus on you.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
so besides working, was there anything else that you did to really occupy yourself or your time or your energy?
Serving in my local church where I worshiped, and that was really my portion during that time. Just working, serving, hanging out with my girlfriends.
Yes.
I wasn't
Cool.
doing
Yeah.
anything.
Good. Um, how did you know you were ready to get back out there in the dating pool?
That's a good question. Prior to like this experience that we're talking about, I did have another.
Mm-hmm.
It's that was a very negative experience. So after that, and then this one that I shared with you, how long was that your question? How long did it take me to get back out there?
How did you know you were ready to get back in the pool?
Mm, I don't know. I tipped my toe in it,
Mm-hmm.
and if it like it wasn't the vibe, you know. But I also know, like me, I'm either all in or I'm all out. You know, and
Right.
to recognize about myself is that I do get attached very quickly. Um, so I had to work on that. You know, I'm like, okay, Sandra, you can't just put all your eggs in one basket. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm also one of that cannot talk to multiple people at one time.
Right.
You know, everybody has like a different definition of dating, but if I'm talking to one guy, like I'm literally talking to that one guy.
Right.
Um, I can't talk to multiple people, but knowing how I was ready to get out there, I didn't know. I just had to test the pool.
Right.
I don't know. Sometimes the pool was cool, and sometimes it.
Gotcha. Definitely understood.
it
So you said something key too, because even with the realizing that you were easily attached. So let me ask this: with the yeah, this is gonna be a good spot. This is gonna we definitely sticking the pin right here. So with you admitting that, hey, you know, you can't talk to multiple people, how are you meeting them? Was this just from, hey, you just meet friends to friends, or were you trying online dating, or how are you meeting potential partners?
okay, so I did online dating. Um, my goodness, I listen. We're done with
Okay.
apps. Yeah. But I did online dating, so I guess you could say I was having conversations with you. That's what you do in online dating. But
Right.
as far as like really giving like my time and attention to a specific guy on the app, I had to do that because I'm like, oh, did I tell him that? Or
Mm,
this number,
yeah.
this one does, you know, oh, I said I was going to meet up with this guy. So I can't, like, I just realized that I can't keep up,
Right.
you know, like I don't do a good job. I
Okay.
but the online, yes. So I did online dating, and no,
Gotcha.
no.
And that was my similar experience. Because like I said, I've tried. Well, before things I did was it eHarmony, Match, yeah, okay, Facebook dating. Um, I said Match, Plenty of Fish. That was I think that was that absolute
I
trash. So I 6 different ones. You said, huh?
I remember you sharing your Plenty of Fish story.
Yeah, I do not recommend. 2 thumbs down. Do not go. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200 on that particular app. No. Uh, don't do it. So which ones were you on?
I did eHarmony. That was the very first dating
Okay.
I tried. And it was actually legit. Like it was good. And I remember going to one of my friends' weddings, and the table that I sat at, there was another couple there that met on eHarmony, and that they were celebrating their 5th year wedding anniversary.
All right.
And that story with me, that's what prompted me like, maybe I can get on eHarmony and try. And I did, and I actually met some great
Right.
men. Mm-hmm.
And it does work for some people, but I'm with you because again, with getting into the dating scene, and I was all or nothing for one person too. It's hard for me to have a. For me, it felt like I was cheating or something if I was talking to more than one person at a time. And then I had to learn, and but it's also like you said, everyone's perception of dating is different, which is why we have these conversations. So some are, hey, even if it's just the early phases of dating, I'm only limiting things to one person. I'm not even going to give grace to anybody else or open it up. I'm gonna see what's going to happen with this. If it doesn't work out, all right, close that door. Then I'm gonna come back to Jack or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then the others, and I got to that point of okay, I don't have to be 100, put all my eggs in this particular basket. I can have multiple conversations, especially because it is online dating. We're not married yet or anything like that. There hasn't been a commitment just because we've matched.
Mm-hmm.
But I had to learn it was a limit because, okay, 2 or 3 conversations, okay, it's cool. I had got up to the point of having 5. And so it's like you said, what did I tell her? Okay, is she the one who has 2 brothers? Is this the one that's in school right now? Is this the one that says that she likes? So I was like, hold on, let me make some notes. And then at some point, it's like, hold on, we're gonna have to start cutting these people out. Let me see what can I do,
Yeah.
or what can I find out about them to eliminate it? Is that what you had to go through, or you just were like, this is one at a time?
Yes, I had to cut the list too, and so it was manageable for me. And how I gauged on who I was going to give more conversation to was how they converse with me.
Right,
Like if slacking on the communication, I was like, well, I'm not going to force you.
right,
To, have a conversation with me, or you don't check messages for days. Um,
yes,
so yeah.
yeah.
But I
And
Harmony, and then because you asked me what apps I tried, I did Tinder
okay,
one time
I did. I was on there too. Okay,
and Facebook dating. Now the Facebook dating, I had to shut that down. Have too many friends in common? No.
but you can also filter it so it's not anybody, no friends or friends or nothing like that. You can change. You can filter it that way. You
No.
said not even going to explore it. Okay, I got you. So, how did you get to the point of realizing that you were giving too much too soon? You were overly committing in those early dating phases, and what have you done to adjust from that?
Okay, so I feel like I'm an open book when I want to get to know
Right.
someone, so when I want to get to know you and I feel that I can share with you, not like my whole entire life story within the first couple weeks of, but I go off how we're flowing, but I don't know. What I've had to learn was don't give too much too soon, right? You don't want to scare the person away. You don't want to just give your whole life story to them and they're like, oh my gosh, that was so many details that, one time I don't know what to do with this. So what I've learned was slow and steady,
Okay.
slow and steady. And as the days go on, the weeks go on, the months or what have you, contingent upon where you all are in the getting to know you process, um, then you can rebuild, right?
Okay.
Slow and steady.
How have you managed that slow and steady, and what has been, do you think, what has been the reception of doing the slow and steady approach?
Um, that I'm secretive.
Hmm.
Like you don't open up, you don't share, and I'm like, I gotta protect myself.
Right.
You do have to guard your heart.
Right.
Um, I'm like, I don't know what what's too much, and then like what's not. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Because you don't want to overshare, but then you don't want to share where they think that it's like pulling teeth to
Right.
get you to open and have open and honest conversations with them.
And I'm with you on that also. So I said you want somebody who you don't have to have your defenses up with,
Yeah.
but everybody is not allowed to get into that gate either. And even with especially getting to know somebody, it's still layers to, getting to know you in schools holistically in all those different areas. For me, it was a learning thing to get to the point because I was concerned. I was told, especially by my friend circle, that I was too nice all the time. And for me, because I was all, look, if I'm talking to you, we in, and it's a devotion there. And I'm used to giving husband energy, and I had to realize, like, hey, everybody don't get their energy from out. We just been knowing each other for 1, 2, 3 months. And it's not to say that I'm treating them any less better or is anything less genuine, but it's just the access levels. It's still a gradual thing. So I'm not going out of my way for somebody. I don't even know you're going to be here in 2 more months from now. So just really, I had to get to that particular point of learning, how to balance it. Like you said, slow and steady. We're still getting to know each other. Nothing is set in stone right now. We're still learning each other. And I'm definitely going to give you the positive energy, let you know that I'm interested and that, I'm committed to learning and seeing where this goes. But I can't, I still got to guard and protect myself too, because there were instances where me trying to be over eager, me being, I'm just like my Terrence character, how I'm having those classroom skits. Like, not everybody deserves that all the time because they either don't know how to appreciate it or they mishandle it or they freak out by getting those particular things. I just have to do it a little bit by little bit.
That's good. And then also, I feel like you do need to see that person in different settings, because that will allow you to feel comfortable opening up more about whatever situation. So yeah, it's okay. It's really not a rush or a race.
Right. And some people, especially in the 30s, start thinking, oh, my clocks are ticking. Okay. I thought I was going to be married by 28. I thought I was going to be married with 2 kids by 30. And this isn't happening. So what's going on? Am I going to be. So that was your expectation that you were going to have. And I thought maybe 27, 28, it'll be in stone. Or at least have an idea of what was going on. So if you would have told me at 37, I still would be single. Well, I'm not single. But if I didn't have any kids and I wouldn't be married at this particular point, I'm like, what? What happened to me? What's going on? So that's a good thing. And it's a learning thing. And I think a lot of people have to get to that particular point also. Okay. So I think I'm going to go with this set of questions. Hold on. No. For you.
Oh goodness. Don't give me the set you ain't never used on somebody now.
Why not? Let's be a groundbreaking experience. It will be a groundbreaking experience. Did I say the word brown? I said brown breaking. Ground breaking. Got to switch the BR and the GR. See, that's why I messed up. I can't even. That's a public school education right there. Okay. I'll ask you this thing. Do any of your friends or relatives believe that no one is good enough for you?
No, they don't believe.
So they actually want to see you with someone. They think there is somebody out there.
They do.
Okay, that's a good thing. How do you wait until? How long do you wait to tell your circle that you're talking to someone new?
Ooh wee. It depends, because it depends, and I say that because everyone in my circle is orbiting a different ring. So if you're not in a ring, I don't like tell you anything. You know.
Mm-hmm.
I like to vet the person first to see
Right.
if it's worth sharing with my friends that I'm talking to someone. So it depends. If I'm going on a date or anything with someone, then yes, I will tell, someone that I'm talking to someone. But how soon? Not like immediately. Like if I started talking to somebody tomorrow, I'm not going to shout it, you know. So it depends, but I vet the person first to make sure they're even worth sharing about.
And that's how I am too, because I don't want to be that person in the circle who's like, oh yeah, I met a new girl. It's like, then you just meet somebody else. Like, what in the world is going on? Like, what's it's like, what are you doing?
Now you got somebody, yeah, just wait, slow.
Yeah, yeah. Because then the joke would be, You talk about person A only lasts around for a week, and then the next thing they're like, hold up, so where's person A? Oh no, that's old news. I'm talking to person B right now. I say, hold up, what? So I'm with you on at least vetting it out. Let's see, is there any potentially? And then let us say, okay, hey y'all, this is who I'm talking to now. And you have this is her pictures and stuff like that. So um, if you have a breakup, would your circle be more likely to ask, what did you do, or what did they do?
They will ask what happened.
It's a good answer.
Yeah, they will ask what happened. And then through revealing that, then of course they would, say, well, what's your take? What was he saying? But they would initially ask what happened, not so you do, Sandra,
Yeah. So not so much a blame on either party. It's just, okay, what caused led to this particular point.
Exactly.
That's a healthy group of friends. Okay. Uh, are your parents married, or have they ever been married?
So my parents have never married, but they were together for 36 years.
Okay, so never married with 36 years. Okay. Based on their relationship, how has that affected your view of marriage?
Well, my parents never married, but I grew up in a two-parent household. But seeing their relationship, I'm pro-marriage. Especially with me being a believer, I know that marriage is a God thing.
Right.
It's he created. Both of my parents were married
Okay.
before they got, um, but although they weren't legally married, I still saw a healthy relationship.
Mhm.
Parents. So yeah.
Okay. So it was not something that you necessarily or wanted to duplicate, but you at least saw what a healthy relationship could look like. Got you. So,
Right.
I'm not doing the common law thing, but okay, put the ring on it. Definitely. Does anyone in your friends or family, your friends or family circle, have a marriage that you view positively?
Yes. Yes, they do. I'm very close with one particular. I call her my sister, and
Okay.
she's married for years. And so her and her husband are someone. They're a couple who regularly talks to me about marriage. They ask me vetting questions too.
Okay.
I do look to them for as an example. Every marriage is different.
Right.
Nice that I do have that I can glean from that.
Right.
I feel comfortable asking them questions, both the husband and the wife. And they're pretty much an open book with me when it comes to marriage. And they ask me questions about being single because obviously,
They don't know. Right.
But to answer your question, yes.
Good. Okay. What are, let's say, two things that you've learned from them to get you prepared for marriage?
That's really, really good. So the first thing is that there is no perfect person, no perfect. And they really dismantled the whole, you got to have it all together before you meet the person. Um, they're a couple that really built from the ground up together. And I thought that was very admirable. So it wasn't like one party was coming into the situation and, they just, so that. And something else that I learned from them is that love isn't enough. The whole thing. Well, I love you.
Right.
Like it's much deeper than just love. That's what
I did a whole video about that, talking about how love and hope aren't enough. And
yeah.
people get so blinded by love, and I love this person, that we feel like we have to endure anything, and
That's
um,
it.
we just have to go through emotions with different things, or since we love each other, we'll be able to get through this. Okay, no, the love requires actions also, and so it takes two committed people to do that instead of saying, "Oh, I love you." Okay, but what are you? What are we doing?
Mm-hmm.
The emotions are there, but okay, what is being done with it? It takes that thing. So I think people get enamored and so caught up. I don't want to have that butterfly feeling the whole time. And that's not a realistic expectation. There are
Right.
going to be some instances where you don't see eye to eye, where you look at that person like, I love you, but I don't like you right now.
Yeah.
But I'm committed to staying here. We're going to get through this. But yeah, I'm not just going off of feelings. It really has to be more to it than just how am I feeling in this particular moment. So that's a beautiful point.
And that couple, I'm so grateful that, God allowed our paths to cross, because being that I could ask those questions of my parents, right? But being that my prayer is to have a, marriage that's built on the foundation of Christ, looking, to them and asking them those questions, and them feeling comfortable with sharing, right?
Right,
Um, not tell me all their business, but
right.
for, the purpose of like what we're speaking about, they openly share, like, there are times I didn't like my husband,
Mm-hmm.
a season where, my wife wasn't, what I thought,
Right.
so yes. So what I learned was love isn't enough, you
Yeah.
know, those seasons and those times where life happens and it's hard to, navigate through that. But what does your foundation look like?
And
Yeah.
that's the key thing. Okay, so out of curiosity, since you said sometimes they pique your head, what are two things that you probably have taught them about singleness that they were like, what? Like,
Oh, wow. Two things that I've talked to them about singleness. I've talked to them about a lot. What do I want to share?
and the reason I ask that because I know people who are married, and like you said, especially if they've been married for an extended period of time, they have no idea what the dating life is like right now. So much has changed. There are different lingo. It's just so many different semantics and definitions. Are we talking? Are we dating? Are we courting? Are we what is really going on? Are we going with the vibe? We going with the flow? We saying what's going to happen? No, we together, but we didn't put a name on it. It's just so much stuff that's going on. So they're like, hold on, what? Yeah, we got dating apps and we got these different things. So like, what is a lot has changed with it.
Hmm. Well, one thing that we talk about and that I feel comfortable discussing with them is the whole, sex before marriage type of a
Mm.
thing, especially when you are walking the straight and narrow and
Right.
you want to stay in that vein and, not be swayed by it. I've asked them that, like, did they wait? Or even like now, me dating at the age of 36 and wanting to meet someone who's of that like mindset, right? First, if you're not um a believer, we're already not going to
Right.
we're already not going to work out.
Right.
And the wife will regularly remind me, like, it's worth the wait, it's so that is one thing. And the other is about merging lives together,
Right.
um I wouldn't want to be in a marriage where everything was like separate. So like finances, and they're really good with finances. So they talked to me about that. So those would be two things, because apparently, I mean, I've never been married yet, but apparently, um, intimacy and finances are two big things in marriage, and that's usually why people divorce, or they, you know,
Start supporting splinter.
because I don't know, one person isn't good with the money and you were in a sexless marriage. I don't know.
This stuff really happens. And I think even for the married people, and I think it's really good to have, and this is the reason why I even came up with that question. Also to have that married couple that you actually do see, okay, hey, I see how this can work. And so, and even you being able to have access to pick their brains from, because some people, like we see it online also all the time, especially on anniversaries. Oh my God, we've been through it all. But we still here at 17 years later. Okay, what did you go through in these 17 years? Like, not just say, okay, yeah, we had some good times and bad times. Okay, what was going on, and how did you all work through those things? And so, like, you can potentially give some tips to somebody else. Again, like you said, every relationship is going to be different. We're not going to do things the exact same way, but there's nothing new under the sun either. So some of the things that we're going through right now, somebody else has already walked that through. It's tried and true. They're able to, give some tips. Hey, we went through it. Don't give up. Or this, y'all two need to talk. You all need to go get some therapy. You all two need to reconnect on some level. You let your spark go out. I need you to get this fixed together, because if you don't fix this now, it's going to be an issue down the road. And I don't think we don't really commonly have those kind of conversations, because everybody, like you said, keeps it all in the bubble. We just put the generalization online, but you got to see what's going on behind those doors too.
Absolutely. And you talked about not letting the spark go out. So one of my former pastors used to always say, from the pulpit when he was preaching, he would say, you can't let the honey drip off the moon. You gotta keep
Yes. Please keep the honey in the marriage. Please. Don't be having access. Let me just leave it there. They're having access or not using it. Better put the key in the hole. Please. Turn that junk. Oh, as much as you physically can. And mentally, yeah, and all that too. But still, hey, look, yeah, man. I'm gonna just say that. Live it that way. Yes. Yes, Lord. Okay. And honestly, with this one, I already know the answer to this. Have you ever announced 4 or more kings in a year? Which for you, I know it's not they already know the answer. And that's the people who are always like, well, this is my new king. And then 2 months later, like, where your king go? What happened?
Yeah.
This is my new
I
king.
refer to him as my king until he gave me his last name. So there's that.
Gotcha. Okay. So we're going to do another. All right. So, boom. Just to close things out, because I don't want to abuse your time, and I'm so thankful again for you coming on. Tell me about a date that was actually disappointing in the lens of you actually were excited about it. Like, hey, I actually like this. There's real potential here, but for whatever reason, it didn't go on. They didn't necessarily keep that same excitement. They didn't have that same feeling as you did.
I don't know if I've had that.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Mm-mm. But I haven't dated a lot, Trion. So
Okay. Okay. When was your last date?
my last date, January.
Okay. So 2 months. How did that go? Let's talk about that one.
It was actually really good. I went up to Dallas.
Ain't that something?
Yeah. I went up to Dallas. We met halfway because he was coming from out of state, and we decided on Dallas. So that was my last date, and it was good. It was actually really good. Um, yeah. You want to know what happened?
Yes. You see my forehead? You saw the eyebrow go up?
Yeah, he asked me for money, and I just it's not funny because I really liked him. I did, but and I was like, sir, I'm not an ATM. I don't know what you think this is, but no. And I felt bad, but mm, mm, yeah. And after I know,
This would fit with the questions. A little disappointed because you said you were excited, and then there it goes right there.
so boom, I went on a date in Dallas. It was actually a 2-day date, and it was amazing. Like it really was probably one of the best dates that I've ever been on. And I haven't been on many,
Mm-hmm.
but it was really good. Like I was like, oh. But yeah, he asked for money.
Okay, so
And
what happened on the date to make it really good?
conversation. I met him on a dating app. So
Okay,
yeah, he actually looked what his pictures looked like.
that's important.
Yeah,
Yes.
very important. We shared the same beliefs.
Okay.
Our outlook was aligned.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like perfectly fine. I felt like there may have been like an underlying thing that he wasn't sharing,
Mhm.
but I was like, you know, revealed through time. But no, it just turned all of a sudden, and he asked for money, and I had to say no.
Okay. How long did you two talk before you all agreed on this date to meet up?
It was a month because I was in Florida
Mhm.
for a while. So when I go to Florida, I go for weeks on end.
Okay.
So we go on a date until I got back to Texas.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Okay. So you had time to vet them out and have a conversation, and the conversation actually matched, which is important. I think me and other guests have talked about that before too. Good on the phone or good online, but in person, it's like
Yeah.
crickets.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
It was really good. Phone conversation, FaceTime. The meetup in person was good, but then it was just like you asked me for money, and I obviously said no. Um,
right.
and he ghosted me after that.
Okay. Well, okay. I'm gonna dig on that. Were there any activities on the date? Like, what did you all do, or was it just you all just met up and talked?
So there's like this. We went to like this food hall in Dallas.
Okay. Talking about. Okay.
Yes, I liked it. We did go bowling, so that was good. So that was an activity, and then the next day, we met up for brunch, and
Mhm.
that was it.
Okay. So how did he present the question for asking for money? And may I ask how much money did he ask for?
Okay, so he asked me for $350, and how he asked was we were having a conversation, and he's like, well, I gotta go so I can get ready to go and do some door dashing to make some extra money. I had a come up, and I was like, oh, okay, like cool, no problem. He's like, but if you can give it to me, I wouldn't have to do the door dash. We're not doing that. Just very, like, I don't know, he was very comfortable with asking, and I'm like, there's no pride, which is good. He's not a prideful person, but I just don't, I wouldn't even feel comfortable asking someone for money that I just started talking to. You know what I mean? I don't know about you or whoever's watching, but I don't just ask people. Like, I don't know if it looks like I have money or whatever, but the bottom line is I wasn't giving it to you. And
and, and,
he ghosted me after that. Like, I remember we had the conversation on Thursday, and I said no.
Mhm.
And usually the type of person that I am, it's like I try to like nicely, but in this instance, I was like, this has to be a hard no. I'm not pro. What do you need it for? Or I can give you this much. It was just no. Like, I'm just not. Um, so we got off the phone. I guess he went and DoorDash. But Friday came, and I had a very busy day on Friday. With work and some other things that I had committed to. So we actually didn't connect. Um, and I remember Saturday reaching out. I like text him. A couple hours later, I FaceTime him because we were on that level.
Mhm.
And then I just stopped because
Mhm.
now, like, you don't respond. I'm not going to keep texting you. I'm not going to keep calling you. That's no response is a response, right? So, and I just never heard from him.
Man, asked for $350. Okay, see, and
Uh,
see, I'm also asking for different angles just to make sure. So, do you think he was like genuinely asking for 350, or it's just like I'm like I'll throw out something as a joke in a heartbeat.
I honestly thought that he was presenting himself in a way, but he was a low key scammer. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
do believe that. Only, and I only say that because, like, you've done Facebook dating, right?
Mm-hmm.
So on Facebook dating, you can have where you're looking, right?
Right.
Like and so I opened mine up. Like, it's not just San Antonio because no.
That's how you big though.
That's another conversation.
No,
That's an offline.
no, we're gonna. Okay, we'll see. Okay. Mm-hmm.
But so I had my radius like wherever, and so I remember just kind of checking, and he said he was in Dallas, right? And then it changed to some other city in Texas, but I think it's in the DFW area, and then it was in Arkansas. And like I knew because remember I shared that he came from out of state, and it was so I'm like, you're changing your whole thing. You're trying to be in all the cities, which is fine. When you're on the dating app, whatever. We're already talking, and you're like changing stuff up here. So, but
Mm-hmm.
what happened? Is that wild?
Yeah, because okay, and I think I've experienced something like you said. The scammers and stuff are out there. But for me, I'm just thinking that's why I was asking like, what activities did you all do on the date?
Mm-hmm.
Because he spent money for the sake of trying to get more money. If it was a scammer, I'm not prosecuting him, but it does not paint a good picture right now.
Yeah.
And just how to bring that up in the comments. I'm scared to ask for $10,
Listen,
$350.
and that's a lot of money. Like, that's a lot of money to ask somebody for. I've never had a man ask me for money before. I wouldn't. The only man I would ask money from is my father. But I wouldn't, someone that, even if like I was dating someone, like let's say we're dating, I don't know, 6 months into it, I still wouldn't ask him for money. You know,
350. That's a lot, man. He probably was trying to get two cracks early. You know how we talked about earlier how we wouldn't be drug dealers. He could have two cracks. Two. I don't know. Yeah, that's interesting.
and then he went ghost.
Okay. Okay, so I know you don't want to get fully on this on the talk, but dating in San Antonio because it is a large city, and I know I've asked questions for those who were in New York. I've asked about it in Atlanta. What have been the pros and cons of you dating in that particular area?
I have not dated like in San Antonio like that.
Any particular reason? I
No,
asked you before it all. Was there anything we could talk about?
I
You
haven't
said no.
met. I haven't met anyone here.
Okay. Mm. I mean, because San Antonio is a large city. It's large. Now, I would say it's like Little Mexico. When I went down, I went to the Six Flags there. So that
Very
was, yeah.
Mexico.
Okay. So, yeah. Okay. So if that's what it is, I definitely can understand from that particular angle.
Right.
Yeah. Because, okay, see, was that hard? Was that really hard? It wasn't hard at all. So I can say because I went down for Six Flags with my cousins, and one of the other cousins was like, "Hey, it's not too. I'm not seeing too many of us in here," and I didn't notice it at first. And I'm like, "Hey, I am taller than everybody here. What is really going on?" So yeah, so fun times.
You know,
Okay,
when I first moved to San Antonio, I did say where
brothers.
where are we?
Yes.
Because I moved here like literally in the middle of the pandemic, like July of 2020, and the world was pretty much shut down. There wasn't a lot going on. So I was inside a lot. I'm still inside a lot. I do need to get out more, but I didn't see us for a really long time.
And so that would be something that I would ask Ben too. So what would getting out look like for you?
I think I've gotten better. Like I do stuff by myself all the time. Like I go by myself. I go to the movies by myself. Like I'll just go out and about by myself. I don't always have to have somebody to do something with. And the of my friends, like from back home in Florida, um, all of them are actually married or engaged, and they have families. So even when I go like back home, I still do like stuff on myself. I have a few single friends here in San Antonio, and we'll meet up, and it's good to have single friends.
Right.
But I'm comfortable with I mean, I'm not going to not do something just because I don't have somebody to do something with, you know?
Yeah.
And I think my job actually got me out and about by myself because I used to, pre-COVID, I used to travel frequently for work, at least once or twice a year, but I would be gone for weeks on end.
Right.
That's what helped me be okay with dining out alone. You don't have to get it to go. You can go sit in the restaurant by yourself. It's okay. Or go to
Right.
a movie, or I don't know, go to the farmer's market, whatever it is.
Right.
So
And I like that because and that's the whole one of the major things that I really try to promote on the page, that even when in your singleness you can still enjoy life,
yeah,
and life still goes on. You don't have to put everything on pause just because you don't have that companionship, somebody else standing beside you all the time.
yeah,
And I also advocate like people having to put yourself out there also, unless you expecting God to have your spouse be your Amazon delivery person, a FedEx driver. Like, hey, how they gonna meet you if you're not on any apps, you're not in any social groups,
mhm,
you're not getting out the house? And yes, as a believer, yeah, you would like to be somebody in faith, but that person may not be at your particular church. You know what I'm saying? So what do you do if all you're doing is just work, going home, going home and watching streaming services, or it's just church? How is anybody even going to know you exist if you're not even putting yourself out there in some kind of
yeah.
capacity?
You got to put you got to put yourself out there, mindfully put
Yeah.
yourself out. And then if you do meet someone, whether it's at the local congregation or wherever
Mhm.
else, like that's okay too. What I've learned is that you really have to maximize your singleness. Because there's different seasons of it. They're single and satisfied.
Right.
And loving it. They're single and hating it. They're single and sexing it. So you really have to maximize it and just know, like, I think, especially we talked about the dating pool.
Mhm.
Um, I think there's like this thing where it's like marriage is varsity and being single is JV. And I'm like, it's okay if you're single. I mean, everybody doesn't get married and that's
Yeah.
okay. Um, but I just know for me, like I still have hope in the marital promise from God,
Mhm.
but like even if, like he's still good, like he's still faithful, like he's still
Right.
all those things. Um, and it doesn't mean that I'm less than or anything
Yeah.
like that. You got to maximize your singleness. You got to be happy by yourself and, whole by yourself. So yeah, but I also think that when your relationship with yourself is loving enough,
Mhm.
I do believe that it's at that time that your divine partner will reveal themselves.
And that's key. And I agree, because again, I think so many people just get caught up on I have to have somebody, or like you said, my value isn't as much if I'm not with somebody, or nobody seems to be interested in me for whatever reason. I can't keep somebody. It has to be me, and that's not always the case.
Yeah,
And like you said, just enjoying yourself and being at peace with yourself enough that if it happens, cool. If it doesn't, cool. I'm still going to enjoy life. Now, I would like it. I'm making sure my request is known. But if it doesn't happen, I'm not going to be in a situation or a situationship just for the sake of me saying I have somebody and I'm not even happy.
yeah. I mean, because you can be um, in a marriage, but not married.
Agree.
Just like you can be single, but you got all these situationships, like you just
Mhm.
said. Um, yeah, it's what you make it. It's really what you make it. Like you still have to live life, enjoy life, and um, there was a time where I idolized marriage and really had to submit that. Because I was seeing all of my friends getting married and having babies, and I was like, well, it's going to be my turn. And what was revealed to me is like, hey, you have to learn how to celebrate people in the season that they're in, um, and celebrate the season that you're in.
Mhm.
I realized that, and really dismantling um, idolizing marriage, that gave me a fresh perspective, gave me a new outlook on it, you know. Ask yourself those questions too, like, would you marry you, you know, and how in this dating world, which is very tough to navigate, but we have like our list, right? Something else that you need to submit, you know, you got to give up that list. And if you can't, like, I do believe there's things that need to be, you know, said. You can't even meet what's on that list, then how does somebody else too? So
we have an expectation for others that we can't fulfill ourselves.
absolutely.
That's key. How did you get to that point of realizing that you were idolizing marriage?
Woo wee. So this was when I was in my late 20s, because by that time all of my girlfriends from back home were married. One is, but they were married, and I was in all of the weddings.
Yes.
So I was like, bridesmaid, bridesmaid, bridesmaid. Like, when is it gonna be my turn? You know, I don't know. Movie, it's a chick flick, but it's called 27 Dresses.
I think.
Yeah, that was.
Okay.
I realized I was like, when I started declining wedding invites, I was like, Sandra, don't be like, you cannot be like that. Like, goes back to me saying you have to learn how to celebrate people in the season that they're in. Like, I don't know what the story is, you know, how you got to where you are. Do I even want what you have? You know, you really gotta look at yourself. So that's when I started, and I'm like, you idolize marriage, chick, and it's not that. Like, you really gotta dismantle that. And that was in my late 20s. So that was another time that I intentionally took myself out of the dating pool, because I was like, okay, you need to level set with yourself. And you need to really ask yourself, why do I want to be married? Like, what am I praying right? Like, am I praying wrong? You know, God, bring my kingdom spouse. You know, it's my prayers had to change to, you know, God, make me a wife. You know, those qualities in me that I can show up in a covenant with someone, and it's honorable to Him. You know, so yeah.
Okay. See, it's two things I want to get out. And normally I would cut this off now. So let me ask you first: are you okay with continuing?
I'm good. If you're good,
Okay. So let's go there. All right. So first,
I don't know what
even with
light
you said,
like, but the sun is set. Do I need to turn on a light?
I'm good. I can still see.
Okay.
We're fine. All right. So, okay. First point. Even with as he talked about, you know, just being able to celebrate others without putting yourself in the picture. I think some people had that problem, and I've even seen that within the church community. When we say, "Oh, if God's blessing you, that means He's in the neighborhood," or "I'm part of the Me Too tribe since they just got X, Y, Z. I'm about to get it too," and that doesn't have to be the case. Like, we should be able to get to a point of this just happened for this person. Praise God. They're happy because, again, like you just said, you don't know what they had to do to get to that particular point. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes. If it looks good, but what's really going on? So we try to compare ourselves in that competition, or what's going on with me, and we really don't know the full picture. So sometimes it just, hey, congratulations, and that's it. Okay, God, when it's my time, it's going to be my time, whether it be a relationship, a job, money, a new car, a house, whatever. Just getting out of that comparison and feeling like, oh, they got it, I'm about to get it next too. Just live your life and let it get there when we get there. Now, one of the other questions I had set up for this, because me and others who have been in church have had a conversation where there's a belief and a talk, and I think we see it online too, that the church puts more emphasis on women being wives, and it's not necessarily teaching men or giving them the importance on being husbands. What are your thoughts on that dynamic?
I can see that. I definitely can see that. Yeah, and we're talking about the church in general, right?
Correct.
Yes, I can see that. Focusing on, hey, I'm your wife, you know, but it's like, what kind of man, and you know, am I going to be a wife? Yeah,
Gotcha. I can see that also. Because we talk about having Proverbs 31 woman, okay, but what are we doing as far as the men? Well, how should we pattern in ourselves? And I am thankful for where I go now, like that is something that is enforced with the men. It's like, hey, God can't be putting these women together and you're not even in the place for a while. I put you with my creation that I'll put in this particular place. You don't even know how to handle her. So what are you doing? What are you going to bring to the table? Why would I put her with you? And so, like you said, in the midst of that waiting, okay, not only do I want to be a husband, God help me to be the man of God that you want me to be. So whenever the time comes, I'm able to know how to handle and walk and manage this appropriately. Um, and I do think that it's something in and outside the church. Like instead of little girls being raised just to talk, your identification is based on you just being a wife and a mother. Okay, also for the boy, okay, what are we doing in this particular instance? What are you bringing to the table? I think that's a good dynamic right there.
Yeah. And I like what you said about managing well, and I think that starts in the dating process. Like when you're dating someone and it's going in that direction, or you feel it's going into that direction, you have to manage that well also, like in all the phases, right?
Right.
Get to know you stage. I feel like I'm more old school traditional when it comes to that whole thing. Like, I don't know in this dating world now, which is wild. But like the whole courtship thing, like that's something that like I would want. I know it's probably not going to look like what it used to look like.
Well, they bring you 2 cows and sheep and halves.
No, but just dating to marry.
Right.
That's yeah. Like I don't want to waste your time or mine. So
That's the whole purpose of it all. Especially we in our 30s now. What we doing? Where are we going with this? What are your intentions, man? What are we doing right now? So that's all good. So I think we're at a good point, though. That's a really good conversation. As I do with everybody else, I give them 30 seconds at the end if you have anything that you want to plug. So we know you're not a scammer or a drug dealer or anything like that. I know you're not trying to sell 2 mess. So do you have anything that you want to promote or talk about before we wrap up?
do not. I do not. But thank you.
Okay. I'm just checking. But I say, hey, grab my book. And then I also got 2 cracks on the side. I'll just checking, make sure. So, okay. So, thank you all for joining this week of Let's Talk About It. I'm probably going to move to an every other week format as far as schedule because, again, getting guests is not easy. So, if anybody does want to be a guest on the show, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. We can work something out. But until then, you all have fun with the dating life and keep your heads up. All right.
Bye.
Thank you.
Okay.